Well, let's call this meeting to order. Everyone's favorite committee, if I do say so myself, and it's not because I chair it, but because we get to talk about furnitures and calendars. And how does that not excite you? So I'm going to start with a land acknowledgement. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge that we meet on the traditional land of Treaty 6 territory and acknowledge the diverse Indigenous peoples whose ancestors' footsteps have marked this territory for centuries, such as the Cree, Dene, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Nakota Sioux, as well as Métis and Inuit, and now settlers from around the world. So next up is going to be a roll call. I'm going to do it in the order on this lovely sheet here. So I'll start with Councillor Rutherford. I don't see her on the list yet. That's okay. Councillor Carmel.
Good morning.
Councillor Hamilton.
Also good morning.
Councillor Jans. I thought I saw him on.
Good morning.
Oh, there we are.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Councillor Paquette.
Good morning.
Thank you. Councillor Principe.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councillor Rice.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councillor Salvador.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councillor Stevenson.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councillor Tang.
Good morning.
Oh, I love it. That was a great introduction. Councillor Wright. Councillor Wright notified me she would be joining us probably by about 10 in the morning, and I see Councillor Rutherford is here as well.
Good morning.
Excellent. So next will be the adoption of the agenda, and I'll go to Councillor Rutherford. You ready to do an adoption agenda?
I sure would.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I move that the August 16th, 2022 Council Service Committee meeting agenda be adopted with the following changes. The addition of 7.1, 2023 Council and Committee Calendar Draft, and 9.1, HR Policy for Councillor Staff, motion on the floor.
Thank you so much. I love the pep in this meeting. It's so good. Right, Councillor Cartman? Please vote, everyone. I should check. Is Mayor Sohi here?
No, he's not.
I don't see him on the board, but I'll just...
Yes, for me.
Yes, for me.
Yes, for me.
I am a yes as well.
We are missing a couple of votes.
All right.
Yes for me. I was waiting for it.
Thank you, Councillor Cartmel. We are still missing one vote. Councillor Jans, we're missing your vote.
Oh, he did say yes. I think he
did he?
was drowned out at one point, but I heard him say yes.
Apologies.
No problem.
We have all the votes.
Thank you. Please display the votes. And that is carried. Next up, the adoption of the minutes. Who wants to move the minutes? Councillor Tang.
I will move that we approve the minutes from June 22nd Council Services Committee meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you. Please vote.
It's not coming up. I'm a yes.
Can you just confirm that you're there, just because there is a public hearing this afternoon as well, just to make sure that you're in the Council Services Committee meeting? Okay.
Yes for me.
Yes, for me.
Councillor Jans?
Did we get his...
Councillor Jans, are you on the call? We are waiting for your vote. Thank you. We have all the votes.
Thank you. Please display the vote. And that is carried. Next up, protocol items. I don't think there were any today that I'm aware of, so. Next up, selection of items for debate. So I'll look to the board, sign in, and select items if you are interested. Or I guess even if you're not, technically. We can't select items just yet. Somebody is trying to. Councillor Hamilton, do you want to start? Since you were ready to select some, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to select the item 7.1.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to Councillor Rice and then Councillor Rutherford.
I would like to select 9.1.
Thank you. Councillor Rutherford, is that
I'd like to select 7.2.
wonderful?
Sorry. I just want to make an amendment to
Sounds
the
great.
furniture thing.
No problem. Well, that is all the items. Full house today. So there's no reports that have not been selected for debate. There are no requests to speak again? How shocking. This is so odd. I'll always be shocked about that. Requests for time specific on the agenda. There are none, and we will go in order. And councillor inquiries, I did not get any notice of any inquiries that I'm aware of. So let's jump right into the 2023 Council and Committee Calendar Draft.
Good morning, Council Services Committee. With me today is Ms. Norton and Ms. Schlamp. We've just got a few introductory remarks, and then we're happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you. So if we could just get the slide displayed on the screen there. So the slide on the screen outlines the approach to the 2023 calendar approved at the June 22nd, 2022, too many twos, Council Services Committee meeting. At that meeting, a motion was passed to move the regular time for City Council public hearings to be scheduled from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. instead of 1:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. The recommended principles, as detailed in the report, are incorporated into the draft calendar. A few changes we would like to highlight are that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays are proposed to be primary meeting days. Meetings on Thursdays and Fridays are avoided where possible. City Council is proposed to be full days on Tuesday and Wednesdays, with public hearings on Mondays as full days. The draft calendar is attached to this report, and this calendar will be the same calendar that we propose to have approved at the October 17th City Council meeting. So with that, we are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Well, we will go to the board, but since this was selected by Councillor Hamilton, I will go to Councillor Hamilton first, and then anyone else, please click on the board. Councillor?
I love these meetings because we can really get into the nitty-gritty. On March 7th, there is an Urban Planning Committee non-regular, and it conflicts with an FCM board meeting. And I was hoping it would be possible to switch it with the Utility Committee meeting the day before, so that, because I have to chair that meeting and also be at FCM. So I'm hoping we can switch that, and yeah, okay. And
that
then
should be easy enough.
Okay, all right. That was my one extremely specific question. My second less specific question is that I noticed at the end of September, we have an entire week off, or I'm going to say in recess, for the AB Munis conference. But the conference is being held in Edmonton next year, and usually historically, when the conference has been held here, we don't take, we reserve some days, but we don't take the whole week. However, I also noticed that there's Yom Kippur at the beginning of the week, so it's consistent with the policy. I think maybe I was just wondering if we needed the full recess week there, or if we could maybe do something on the Tuesday so we don't lose that whole week, or is that just too complicated?
So the calendar was drafted on the principle that there are actually 4 recess weeks.
Okay.
And so because Yom Kippur is on the Monday, ARC is already on the Tuesday, and then there's the conference. Happy to keep it as a free week, and then maybe 6 months into this new calendar, should it be approved, if we need to add additional meetings or hypothetically bring the schedule forward a wee bit, we can do so.
Okay.
But at this point in time, it's based on maintaining the number of constituency weeks you have this year.
Okay, all right, that's fair. And with respect to the summer recess, I thought we always came back the week after like the week following the Heritage Day long weekend, so you weren't coming into a short week. Because right now it's scheduled that council returns or comes back the week of the long weekend.
So the way we've adjusted the new schedule, so that has created some changes that we haven't experienced before. It's because council actually is finishing the week of Canada Day, which is the 7th of July. Typically, we don't like to split up committee and council weeks because right now we're in a 2-week cycle. We're going to move to a 3-week cycle. If you want us to shift this, we can actually start with committee. Then those committee reports will sit for 4 weeks, and then we'll jump back in with council. It's really, we can shift that either way.
Okay, yeah.
We can shift it 2 weeks if you would prefer. We've had feedback previously that councillors enjoy finishing as close to the end of the school recess as possible. I mean, there's no right or wrong. We're happy to shift it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 week, or not at all.
Okay. Yeah, either is fine. I just noticed we're coming back in a short week. And that can make things, I think, a little bit hectic for everyone, including, I think, your staff. And then you'd mentioned that we had 4 recesses built in. Okay, so it was, okay, because going back to the beginning of March, we ordinarily have had like a full recess there, but you've removed that in lieu of.
The 4 I was always thinking about were the 2 constituency weeks, summer and winter, but I'm going to look here and see if I've got that wrong.
Okay.
So there's a week.
There's spring break, recess. And then there's a recess for FCM.
So the first spring break recess we've got here is the end of March.
Yeah.
And then the next break isn't until May, which is a recess week. And then the next one starts again in July, whether that's shifted into the middle of July or the beginning of July.
Okay. All right, and then we have the Alberta AB Munis break, and then there's a recess in November before budget. With respect to the FCM break, that's another one where council's being granted the whole week, but usually people don't, like the conference doesn't start till Thursday, I believe. So business ordinarily has been conducted. Sorry, I'm flipping back to it. Business has been conducted on the Monday, which is the Victoria Day, but usually people don't leave until at least the Wednesday. Sometimes even
we've received feedback because it's a short week. Sometimes people like to
take.
We're happy to adjust this at the will of council. Okay.
No, I'm not going to undermine some of the feedback that you've received from my colleagues. I was just curious. Okay. I'll leave it there. Maybe what I'll note is on the 28th or 29th, you have a committee meeting coming back. People tend to have, usually FCM has an event on Sunday evenings. And so it can be, especially, I don't know what flights are going to be like. It's in Toronto this year, so people might have difficulty getting back in time for CPSC, and that's a longer flight. I'm thinking of when we went to Halifax or Quebec City.
We can shift it into we were again trying to respect council's desire to not have meetings on the Thursdays, but happy to shift it so we could just shift it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There isn't, right now there's no EMRB on the 1st, so we're happy if that's a request, we can bump it. Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We can just shift that forward.
All right.
Yep.
Yep.
And that is your time, and I think you started a little late anyway, so
thank you.
No problem. But the timer didn't start, so I didn't keep track. My fault. Next up, Councillor Stevenson.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for this work. Looking at this calendar, it just relieves so much tension for me. It seems just like such a more manageable pace and schedule. So thank you so much for all the work that you and your team have done to put that together. And I appreciate that you're still finding a way for us to still be fitting in all the business and meeting quite frequently. It was great to see those stats. So thanks very much. I think that I like the rhythm of the recesses. I think the way you've kind of stacked them with other holidays or other events, I think works quite well. And just, I think there's something about having a full week that I really appreciate for planning. So thank you for that. Oh, I also want to flag, I don't know if this was intentional, but there's a lot less overlap with recesses and police commission, which I also really appreciate. Again, just kind of have that full week for constituency and refreshing as well. A couple quick questions. So I note in the report that your team is still recommending a 1:30 p.m. start for public hearing. The calendar, I think, reflected a 9:30 a.m. So I just wanted to bring that conversation back up and understand your recommendation there.
So our recommendation at the last meeting under the principles was 1:30, and then that direction was superseded at the last Council Services Committee meeting. So we were just reflecting what we recommended, and then we've adjusted the calendar based on direction from Council Services at the last committee. So we have adjusted it. So the draft calendar as presented in attachment 1 and 2 is actually what's going to be recommended to Council.
I gotcha. Okay. Well, thanks. And can you just remind me sort of why your preference was for 1:30 p.m. just to understand how that might work better for your team?
It's not about what works better for us. We did an insight survey, and I want to say it was about this time last year. There has been a lot of process changes because of the virtual participation. So previously the 1:30 to 9:30 worked best because everybody had to physically come to council chambers. Now with our enhanced flexibility, we think that we can adjust the schedule to start at 9:30. Again, we're happy to take direction from council, but to be clear, it was actually this committee that directed us to change the calendar that we recommended the last time, so we're happy to go back.
Great. No. Very happy for it to say 9:30 a.m. I love seeing it reflected in the calendar. I was just confused with what was in the report and what that meant. So no, thank you very much. That's excellent. I think starting at 9:30 public hearing is a really great approach. So I would not suggest any further changes to the calendar as it stands. I was also just wondering, when does our committee membership switch over in the year?
I want to say it's May. It's every 18 months. Sorry, it's March. So the committee membership that you have right now switches over in March. Okay, that's great. Thanks. That's just good for me in terms of some planning again, which committees I'll be serving on in the bulk actually of next year. Okay, so that's great. I also, it's not a big thing. I just noticed in attachment 3, I think, unless I'm misreading it, I think there might have just been something funny that happened with the number of urban planning committee meetings. So this is on page 2. The totals seem to have somehow jumped from like 16 to 50. The grand totals seem to be right, but just want to flag that I'm not misunderstanding something. But that we're looking at about 16 urban planning committee meetings. Oh, that's the total of all the committee meetings. I'm reading it now and I understand. Thank you very much. No other questions. Thank you again so much for coming up with such a wonderful schedule and calendar that I think will really support us in our work and allow us to serve our constituents well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No one else on the board except myself, so I'll just jump in. Again, just thanks to all the team to doing this work. It's actually really exciting to see this change. I think it makes, I'm very interested to see how it plays out, but I think it feels like it's going to be a lot better for us. So really, really appreciate the work that went into this. So the only question I had, and it touches a little bit on Councillor Hamilton's piece, is with the summer recess. So there's 2 changes. One, when it starts, but also that it's 5 weeks instead of 4, if I'm doing my math correctly. And so my question was, I think about the week that Councillor Hamilton was talking about in the beginning of March. would it make sense, you know, we used to have a recess week at the beginning of March, and now we have a 5-week summer recess.
Can you help me understand the 5 weeks?
Am I misreading this?
Can
or-
you just tell me what 5 weeks?
No, I see, no, I'm just silly and not, when it changes calendar, I'm understanding. So no, we only have 4 weeks, so you can ignore that suggestion, because that would have been wrong. I just misread as I went into August, the extra pieces there.
If you would like 5 weeks, I'm happy to build in 5 weeks.
No, that is perfectly fine. I think 4 weeks is actually just enough. Okay, then actually, yeah, I think the only, yeah, I don't have any suggestions on changes there. And would you want direction, like, from council? I mean, I've heard some people bring up the idea of having recess start a little bit later so that it goes into that week. Does that mess up everything, because, even though you're shifting? So I just want to get a sense of, I don't know if there's consensus on committee, and I've heard a suggestion raised. I'm open to it, actually. I think I like the idea of not coming back the week of where there's the Heritage Day, but I don't know if everyone feels that way. So
there's 3 changes. If we can do the same thing, capture the 3 changes that have come up in conversation, if you can vote on them, it gives us clear direction. The first change would be, in case the clerk's writing this down, for March 6th to 7th, to switch those Urban Planning and Utility Committee. The second change would be for the FCM week, to shift that, instead of it coming back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it'd be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then to look at having the 4-week summer recess shifted 1 to 2 weeks. Let us go away and triple check.
Okay.
We're trying to coordinate some EPCOR shareholder meetings, and I want to make sure we're not conflicting with any of our external boards. If you give us that direction and that passes, we'll go activate.
okay, that's helpful. That gives everyone a chance to have a say one way or another. And the only other question I had, some of the non-regular meetings, and I'm curious, not looking to overcomplicate things, but say if we're doing interviews as an example within our committees, we have a few weeks where, because of the holiday, the Friday's going to be for the committee. Have we ever thought about, and it's more to your team and the capacity to do so, having 2 committee meetings on a Wednesday as an example? So one committee does the interviews here, one committee does the interviews in the council boardroom, thereby freeing up the Friday for everyone. But I don't know the ability of your team to essentially have 2 meetings running at the same time. I want to just get your take on that as a way to help minimize the amount of Fridays used.
We love running 2 meetings at the same time. When we've tried to do that with the last round, there was a lot of interest from other councillors who were non-voting members of the committee to attend, because it was the first round. We're happy to double up meetings. That way we all get the same schedule. If you want us to look at that particularly just for interviews as well as for shortlisting, happy to double up.
So I'm seeing a few nodding heads already on that, so I think that might be maybe a 4th change to add, and I would turn it over to you to, I'm for sure thinking about shortlisting and interviews. I'm also open to whatever else you think your teams, what might fit, but those 2 I think are the most logical ones, because I'm not sure there's going to be the same desire of everyone to attend every shortlisting and interview as it maybe was this year. So I would put that idea forward for us to consider at the appropriate time. So what we'll do is we're capturing these in a list. I'm going to go to Councillor Tang, and maybe I'll come back to Councillor Hamilton as the original selector to move this list of changes. So, Councillor Tang?
Great. I think just some maybe random questions that's outstanding for me. How come we don't have the Alberta Municipalities Board meetings in the calendar? Do we just haven't confirmed that yet? The reason why I ask is because, you know, there's a bunch of them over the summertime that are actually out of town. And that actually takes a bit of planning on my part, so sometimes I'm not able to make it to all the committee meetings, and so I'm just wondering if you communicated with them.
We have included what we are aware of. Perhaps we can connect with you offline. Sometimes the membership actually is aware of things that we're not. So yeah, we absolutely want, that's just par for the course. So if we're missing something, it's an oversight on our part. So maybe we can just connect offline and see if there are any conflicts.
Yeah, I see the FCM board meetings are in there, so I just wanted to include that. And then for the committee membership switchover, are we just like the same group of people, or is that going to be shuffled as well?
No, so council actually approved that it's inaugural council meeting, so no, the schedule rotates. It's not the same group of people.
Okay. Thanks for
There were lots of conversations about that schedule's online. We're happy to send that back out
Yeah.
to you, but no.
Thanks for the reminder.
It's just the three main standing committees
Yeah, I
that
know.
rotate: utility,
That's what I
audit,
know.
city managers. They're all the same.
And my last question is, I'm happy to see the inclusion of observances, which is great. I think it keeps us in mind about the implications for staff and for the public. And, you know, noticing some here, some are not. I'm just wondering, what's the standard you're...
We work with the city chaplain. Actually, we have a
Okay.
long-standing practice of reviewing this and taking recommendations from the city chaplain.
Yeah.
If there's something that you think that we're missing, we're happy to have a conversation, but this has been a long practice that we take
Okay.
recommendations and we adjust our calendar based on those recommendations from the city chaplain.
Yeah, maybe a recommendation for Lunar New Year, for example. And given that, you know, the inclusive holiday is such a big conversation at school board, you know, if there's a way to line that up, I know it's not formally practiced, but I think it's good for us to have that or keep that in mind as well.
The public school holidays?
Yeah, that's right. But I know they're not formal policies, but I think those were a few. So that I think they have more than what we have, and I think it's just a good reference point.
Absolutely. Thanks. We'll take that away.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't see anyone else on the board for questions, so maybe this would be a good time to have a motion on the floor. If I can go to you, Councillor Hamilton, and I imagine the clerks have been working away on a list.
If you can just give us a moment just to confer with admin.
Absolutely. We'll just take a little minute recess and. Sure. Why don't you take? Yeah. Why don't you take? Yeah. We'll do an actual 2-minute recess while they finish. go on the board any moment now. And there we are, and I'll turn it over to Councillor Hamilton.
I'll move that administration proceed with preparing the 2023 council and committee calendar as drafted in attachment 1 of the August 16th Office of the City Clerk report and return to the October 17th, 2022 organizational city council meeting for approval with the following changes. March 7th, Urban Planning Committee non-regular to March 6th, 2023, March 6th, or 2023 Utility Committee meeting to March 7th. The week of May 29, 2023 shifts to meetings Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to accommodate Federation Canadian Municipalities. 3, adjust the summer recess weeks as per discussion. 4, to consider running concurrent meetings for short listings and interviews on Wednesdays where possible. And to review list of observances with the city chaplain.
Thank you very much. If there, I don't see anyone on the board for any additional questions. I'll just wait one more second or two. Oh, there we go. Councillor Stevenson, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just very visual and I just need to, so sorry. Okay, I see. Meetings. Sorry, so are we, so for May, the May date, sorry, is that maintaining the recess the week of May 22nd? I'm just confused, sorry.
So let me just triple check here. The intention was just to shift the May to accommodate FCM.
Gotcha, so a Monday to return, got
Yeah,
you,
just due to flight. So I wasn't aware of any changes to May 22nd to 26.
Right, and then the summer recess week would now start a week later?
We haven't confirmed that. We have to take that away. We have a number of other considerations related to external boards, so I can't answer those questions right now. So we just like direction. If council doesn't want to, or if this committee doesn't want us to change it, fair enough, but I just need direction if you want us to look at options or if you want us to leave it as it is.
Yeah, yeah, like I have no problems coming back on a short week, to be honest. I think that is a nice easing back in after some time away, but I guess that's just where it's at. I don't know that we need to split the vote or anything like that. I don't know what my other colleagues think, but if everyone else is happy with this, I'm happy to support it as well.
Great, thank you very much. I don't see anyone else on the board for questions. Anyone wishing to speak to it? Just wait a few moments, see if anyone wants to click on to speak to it. Not seeing any. Councillor Hamilton, any closing thoughts? No closing thoughts on the calendar. Please vote.
Yes.
We have all the votes.
Thank you. Please display the votes. And that is carried. Next item, 2022 Common Furniture Plan Emergent Requests. That was selected by Councillor Rutherford, and there's no presentation on this, so we can probably jump straight into questions once everyone gets settled in. So we'll just wait a moment for that to happen. All right, whenever you're ready, Councillor Rutherford.
You can move it with the amendment if you want.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I will move the recommendation in the report with the following amendment. Let me know, that attachment 1 be amended to include 150 for the purchase of a side table for Councillor Rutherford's office. Very exciting stuff.
Riveting. Thank you. I don't, I'll accept that motion and see if anyone else has questions on the furniture plan. We'll wait for that motion to get on the board. There's no presentation, so we'll just wait. And yeah, as we wait for that motion to get on the board, we're going to let Councillor Tang ask. I should check. Do you want to introduce the motion, Councillor Rutherford?
I need a table for my plants so they can be by the window and not die.
Thank you. Councillor Tang, questions?
Okay, so maybe I'll start with administration. Do you have a breakdown of each ward office request for furnitures? Or do you track that? Sorry, I don't know who I'm looking at.
Hi, Councillor Tang. Yes, we do actually provide a breakdown of everything purchased, and that'll be in the next furniture report.
Gotcha.
So that will reflect every individualized item. So that'll be part of the next public report.
Okay, and the 6,600 per...
And all of the
sorry.
actuals, sorry, I'll just add, all of the actuals previous were in the last report. So sorry, that's why I just bundled them together for this one.
Oh, no, that's okay. I may have missed that.
Yeah.
And then the 6,600 per year is pretty standard year after year, hey?
The 11,000 annual
11,000.
budget, correct, that resets every year.
Okay, gotcha. So the 6,600 is the remainder for the year.
That is the estimated actuals.
Yeah.
And then we're estimating around 4,500 remaining unspent.
Okay, and what happens to that if we don't spend it? Does it roll over? Or?
That depends if council approves its carry forwards or not.
Oh, okay. And the alternative would be kind of go back to the general pool?
Yep, so
Okay.
we don't have authorization to do our rollover, so at the end of the year, if there's any money left over within any of our budgets, carry forwards, depending with the limit of it's depending council's decision. So council sets its own budget for furniture, so if this is too much, you can always cut it. If it's not enough, you can always increase it, and you can either give us that direction now to bring forward an unfunded service package, or you can adjust it when the budget comes forward in November.
Okay. I will leave that question. So for the attachment, or actually, in the attachment 1 for Q1 and Q2, it says various offices have 3,600 in total. Do you have a breakdown of how many offices that is?
Yeah, we can just forward you the report that we brought forward the last time, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, I guess I have a question about the current request for the Q3, the sit-stand desks. Because all the councillors were offered the surplus sit-stand desk from city corporate stock, which was free. I don't know if I can direct this question to...
No, not exactly.
Okay.
No.
So I'm just wondering, I guess, why the circumstance?
Sure. So it was actually a very unusual circumstance that there happened to be, offhand, I don't remember the exact amount, but I think it was 11 sit-stands available around the time that council term was transitioning over, but there wasn't enough sit-stand desks for every office. So I believe that most every office now has sit-stand desks, and these two offices do not. So the staff currently do not have the sit-stand adjustable ergonomic desks.
When you say two offices, you mean the two physical offices within the same ward office?
Yes, so there's an executive assistant office.
Gotcha.
And then a council assistant office, and so that remains outstanding for those offices to have sit-stands similar to what are in place in the other ward offices.
But the offer was made, and it was made to everybody.
Correct.
Okay.
But there weren't enough to go around to everyone, so there was a very limited supply.
Right. I am just noting that this is about the same amount as Q1 and Q2. Requests came from various offices, and I think it's an unsustainably large request for one ward. You know, I understand we have the funds available, but I also think about the equitable distribution of this and what will happen by the end of the year. So those are my comments and questions. And yes, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rutherford, questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, is it, because my office still also does not have sit-stand desks, so is that a standard we're trying to get in all the ward offices? Yeah, just curious about that, because you said this office is still outstanding. So is it initiated by me, or is it council services that's saying in all of the offices we do want to have that from a ergonomic, you know, health and safety perspective?
It's not a requirement, and it would be initiated by you.
Good to know. That was my question.
Point of order.
Yes.
May I ask my name to be added? Because
Absolutely.
I have,
We can add your name to the list here as well. So
Okay.
we'll get that.
and
but
because
I'll-
all my devices don't work, I cannot even
Yep, no problem at all.
communicating with you to add my name. Thank you.
We'll get your name on the list. I'll go to Councillor Hamilton next.
I had thought that at the end of last term, or perhaps the beginning of this term, and I'm looking at you, Mr. Chair, because you remember the most, but also Madam Clerk may, we had decided as a policy that because, not a policy, an informal policy, that because there was sort of a need to transition to sit-stand desks, that the council services furniture budget would sort of be essentially rolled out to accommodate the need for the sit-stand desks, because I'm hearing the concerns about, I'm going to say, inequity, but I had thought that we had discussed that pretty much the budget could be used for any office that wished to make that accommodation. It's an ergonomic thing. That's sort of extended to pretty much everyone in the organization.
That's my remembering as well. And
Okay.
so, yeah, I think the goal was, you know, I know we had the rollover of the 11 desks that got distributed, and then the sense was that anyone else that wanted it,
Yeah.
we would pretty much, through the budget, make
Yeah.
sure people could get it. So
Okay.
that's my understanding.
So perhaps, because this reminds me very much of the great television debate, I'm wondering, but I think when we're talking about accommodating, like when we're talking about ergonomic accommodations, maybe would it be within this committee's purview to allow the chair, Madam Clerk, to approve sit-stand desks, provided it is, you know, within the city's pool, or not pool, but I'm going to say the standard.
That's not what the policy says.
Oh, okay.
But again, it's your policy. We're happy to bring forward adjustments.
Could we pass a motion that allows, that formalizes that rolling, I'm going to say, replacement of the desks in city council, the council hallway, so that staff may,
And what would the source of funds be for said purchases?
just from the furniture budget, just out of the furniture budget?
I think, Kathy, our challenge is we don't have enough money in your furniture budget. But if you want us to go away and do a quick assessment about how many sit-stand desks actually are required for the hallway, and then we can bring forward that information just in a quick memo. And then if you want to, like, we don't need to make this too laborious. We can find out what our current.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, I think, because there's always a little bit of money left over, and I'm going to say about, what's the cost per item?
Just make sure your mic's on there.
A sit-stand can vary, but it can be around approximately $1,100 for a sit-stand, so it's tips over what the chair can approve.
Yeah, so I think, if I recall the conversation correctly, because there's always a little bit of money left over, or a lot of money left over in the furniture budget, it was that some of that money could be used sort of over a number of years to sort of replace the desks as requested. you'd essentially get in a sit-stand queue. And
Council has done that before. Council Services Committee has approved that before, a carry forward specifically for that purpose, to replace the furniture, to move towards ergonomic furniture for everyone in the office.
yeah, so it's not new money, it's just sort of prioritizing the existing budget towards this.
We're just halfway through the year, so there's no surplus as of yet. If you
No,
want
no.
us to just order them now, ordering 4 is better than ordering 2, so just give us clear direction, happy to move forward.
So it sounds like there might be a pathway forward here. We know not everyone in the hallway has one. We have a request for 2. Maybe we order 4 and then we can talk. If they need 6, then we can put 2 in the queue for January 2023. I don't know. That's a suggestion maybe, so that this isn't about prioritizing one office's needs over another, and counselors having to come every time they need an ergonomic desk. Perhaps that is, a better approach.
Yeah, a quick adjustment would be is if you give us direction to come back with a quick policy amendment at the next council meeting, just to let's just say up the limit to $1,500, then as we get these requests in, then we don't need to bring such requests to this committee.
Okay, I'll move that.
Okay, what we'll do is we'll get that wording. We'll take a few moments while we go through some of the other questions, and I'll come back to you, Councillor Hamilton, for that wording. Councillor Jantz.
I think I have 2 sit-stand desks in my office that I'm not really using. There's one in the entrance to my space, and the other one is in my main office. So I'm not sure if they meet the needs of the councillor, but I'd be happy to part with those if that would help.
Councillor Jantz, thanks for the offer. The accommodations team has done measurements, and so the sit-stand desks identified are configured to fit in the spaces of the office staff. So I'm not sure if it will work, but thank you so much for the offer. It's very good problem solving together.
It's true. Yeah, that's true.
Thank you, Councillor. Anything else, Councillor Jantz?
No.
Thank you. And just maybe to provide a bit of clarification on that answer, the 2 offices closest to, or on that end of the hallway, are actually smaller than the rest of council offices along the hallway, just so that people might be like, how's it different? I just want to make sure everyone has that knowledge. Councillor Paquette?
Because you pay for proximity to the washrooms, right? And it's like infill and densification closer to the core, right?
Thank you, Councillor Jantz. Councillor Paquette?
Yeah, thank you. More public washrooms. So, yeah, in the same vein, I know that our office recently took a sit-stand desk down to storage. So I don't know if we actually have a full accounting of what we already have, and maybe we should do that before we authorize some expenditures, because we may be able to fill some of the need. It's just sort of my thought. And that's it. Thank you.
So just to clarify, before we do bring requests forward for new, we always check for old. Old doesn't fit, and here we are.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rice.
So it's a little bit frustrating because my device doesn't work. I cannot get into any documents here and look at. Just to fairly get in. So I want to say, from spending perspective, and I believe our councillors are very careful and for our office. And even since I swore in my office, and I didn't request a desk, I didn't request anything, and because I don't have any sofa. That's only 600 sofa I requested. That's all. So right now, I would like to say I don't mind to share this request actually from my staff and really lead this stand desk. And then my office, 2 assistant office, we don't have the stand desk. And then I don't know what's happening when we have inventory and we don't have enough inventory to allocate it to them. And then for the health, for the OHS perspective, I think I cannot ignore this request. And then I request it. I think we have to ensure our employee to have the proper workspaces for them and to do the work. And so, yes, I understand some concerns here, but this concern is not about overspending. And is actually the basic needs for our employee to have the equipment and proper workspace for them to work. So I just want to do that clarification first, and before I ask a question. But I do want to say I appreciate, and then even when I put this request to City Clerk office, they did very carefully checking for the inventory. And then they always checking if the inventory can meet the needs first, and before they put requests on the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
So I don't know what's the concern come from, and I'm confused. Okay?
Okay.
So for other question, I do think Councillor Hamilton's brought the good ideas and how we can look at City Council hallway and then councillors as a whole. Thank you for that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Councillor Principe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now, I'm not sure if this is the correct forum to be discussing this, but there was mention of the great TV controversy. And I actually have in my office this large TV that I do not know what to do with.
What we'll do, this would not necessarily be the appropriate space. I think I love Council Services Committee.
Okay.
But we will leave that with our city administration to work with you on any excess furniture requests and see about movement at a later time. So.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. And that was it for me. Thank you.
No, we're not. No. No. There's no other questions. Are there any other questions? I'm not seeing any other questions. I'm going to see if Councillor Hamilton is able to actually pull herself together and make a motion as... Oh, no, wait. We're doing your motion first, Councillor Rutherford, as amended? It's on the floor. With the amendments. But we were thinking about a subsequent after. So I don't see anyone else for questions. Anyone else wishing to speak to the 2022 Common Furniture Plan Emergent Requests report? No other questions? No one wishing to speak? Councillor Rutherford, are you interested in closing on this item? No? Oh, okay.
No, I've said all I need to say.
Thank you very much. Please vote. Oh, Councillor Rice? Yeah, I think you were sort of speaking to it in your other item. Do you have anything to add that?
Yeah, may I add one item? And then I want to appreciate Councillor Jens and Paquette offered that. Mm-hmm. And if that works, and for my office, I don't mind to take it.
Appreciate it.
And so I want to say that. And then also I want to say I want to respect the assessment, how that assessment is, how that furniture fit in. And so from Cassie's point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Please vote.
We have all the votes.
Please display the vote. And that is carried. Thank you. And I should note, again, the laughter is about the TV. Nothing else that people are talking about the TV. It just has a fun history in our city. Do we have the subsequent motion ready that Councillor Hamilton was looking to move?
Yes, we do.
I'm going to spitball here, having not seen it. I'm going to move that that committee recommend to City Council that the chair of Council Services Committee be allowed to approve expenditures up to $1,500.
So you can't delegate via motion. So if you just ask us to come back with policy amendments to adjust the expenditure authority up to $1,500, we'll come back at the next council meeting with the adjustment.
That administration prepare amendments to city policy C618A, council budget and expenses to authorize the chair of council services to $1,500 per expenditure.
Thank you. Do you want to introduce the motion?
Absolutely not. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions on the motion? There are questions coming. We'll clear the board and get, oh, there was a new one. Councillor Rutherford does have questions. Please go ahead, Councillor Rutherford.
What is the current delegated amount that the chair can approve? Nothing?
1,000.
1,000? Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable motion then. I will support Councillor Hamilton's motion.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Anyone wishing to speak to this change? Sorry? Please do. Yeah, there you are, Councillor Tang.
Okay, I appreciate the intention of this and where this is coming from. And, you know, we talk about fairness a lot in council and with the city, and I appreciate measures to make it more fair. So thank you for bringing this forward.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I will briefly say I do actually think it's I'm the chair, so I'm somewhat biased in the ability to suddenly now approve an extra $500. But actually, I do appreciate having the ability to address some of the ergonomic pieces, and to some of the conversation we did have today. It is actually really nice to try to depoliticize it, because occasionally these reports, and the TV was a really good example of where it got silly, and to be able to address legitimate issues. So thanks for making this motion, and as much as it's entertaining to talk about some of these things, this is actually a really good change. Anyone else? Councillor Hamilton to close? Please vote. This is the greatest meeting ever.
We have all the votes.
Please display the vote. Then that is carried. We have one item left, and it is a private report. So and it has been selected. So, Councillor Rice, are you willing to move to go into private, subject to the relevant sections of FOIP there?
So moved.
Thank you. And that is relevant sections 17, 24, and 27. And please vote to go into private.
We're just missing one vote. Councillor Stevenson, we just don't have your vote on this. We have all the votes.
Thank you. Please display the vote. That is carried. whenever we're ready.
Okay.
Are we good to go?
Apologies, yes.
No, no problem. Well, I'll maybe jump in on and try to ask just to get some clarity on this, and then I'll come to others on the board. So I'll go for my first round. So appreciating that right now the motion that was on the floor has a incorrect date, or a date that has since passed, which is no longer relevant. That could be removed from this. I need to double check who is, while it is the Assembly's motion, it was the original, do we know who the original mover is? Is that relevant at this point? Because it is still there.
It's their motions on the floor, and I thought it was Councillor Rice
Yes,
that moved it.
Councillor Rice. So I think in interest of allowing for a proper process, I would allow Councillor Rice to restate the motion without the date, which I believe is her intent still. Is that correct? Okay, so would you be able to read in the motion without reference to the date? You can go ahead. Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that administration return to, so may I have the proper wording without the date?
The wording is correct if you just strike the date. The reason the date was included in the motion is it didn't support the 13 weeks, and you wanted us to circumvent the process. So at the time, that's why we inserted the date. It's just a timing thing. If you just restate the motion without saying July 4th, I think we're good to go.
Should I ask a question before I state or after?
I'll defer to the chair.
So it depends if it's going to affect the motion that you make. I would ask the question first. If then go ahead and ask your questions first, and you can.
Okay, so the question is still is related to the date because July 4th, 2022, and then still is still under and shorter than 13 weeks. So, what's the specific reason and why we have to delay that date? And then, so if I miss something, and as a new councillor for the process, and then appreciate.
So, Councillor Rice, the reason the motion is not technically valid is I can't bring a report to the July 4th meeting because it's already happened.
Okay. So that means the report come back late today.
No. So, okay, I understand your question. So back at the last Council Services Committee meeting, a motion was put on the floor that if it had passed, I would have been required to bring a report directly to the next council meeting, which was July 4th. July 4th, the time between the meeting and July 4th was less than 13 weeks, which is why we included the date in the motion. The motion on the floor was then referred to administration to return today with additional information, which we have done so. So we have satisfied the referral motion. However, the motion on the floor put forward at Community Services Committee is now back in front of you today. My advice to the chair is the motion's technically out of order because it's August, and therefore I can no longer bring a report to July 4th. But the issue that I think you're looking to identify and get direction on is just take out the date, and then I'd say the motion is in order, and then I'll turn it back to the chair.
Okay, I can state the motion again.
Yep, please go ahead. Still your time.
I would like to move that administration return to City Council with amendment to City Policy C608, Human Resources Management for Council Staff, to change eligibility for employment to align with the Employment Standards Code.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Are there any other introductory comments you'd like to make? I think you still had about 2.5 minutes.
Yes, I appreciate. I will use this time to do this. So the motion origin I brought, and I believe is in June, and back to that time. I think as a city provide the opportunity to our youth and to support youth to engage municipal level how city council works. That is a great opportunity and to link back to our city youth council. And because we have so many talent youth council members and in our city, and then they are interested into involved in city council members' office and to learn how the office works and how our city councilor works and to support our city. I think this opportunity was limited, and due to our policy back to 2019, the policy only allowed the age greater than 18 youth to work in councilor's office. And then for the students, and actually very looking for the opportunity and also has the ability and has the responsibility to do this work, and during summertime and as a summer students, and due to this policy, the age limitation, they will not get this opportunity. This motion is, the intention is to open the door to allow this opportunity and for our youth who already engaged the youth council and already engaged in our community, already engaged our interest in engage our city's services and programs, and to get that opportunity and then to practice their understanding and provide and they really scale learning and growth opportunity for that. I think that is the intention for this motion brought up. I appreciate the City Clerk office today to bring report back, and then so I encourage my colleagues support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First, we'll do questions, and then we can do speaking to it. I'll see. Councillor Stevenson, do you have questions or just speaking to it?
I do have one quick question.
Go ahead, please.
So when we say to elect the Employment Standards Code, I'm just wondering, maybe to the mover, is your intent still that it would just be from 14 to 18 rather than through those other categories that that we received information
on? So the 14.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
She'll just move a little closer to the mic. Go ahead.
Yeah, try to move closer. And so I just try to understand your question. Your question is about between 14 and 18 is why is set up specific 14? Is that your question?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. You're just really breaking up there. But yeah, my question is your intent for, I think the employment code had a category that's sort of like 15 and up, 16 and 17. So just wanted to confirm which age groups you were intending to capture with this.
So the original motion is beyond 14.
I'm so sorry, I can't hear you well.
Beyond 14.
Just hang on for a sec, because can you hear me, Councillor Stevenson?
Yeah, I can perfectly.
I am close here.
Can we try, Councillor Rice, do you want to try the microphone to your left there and just try the other one and see if that...
Okay, I will try if this microphone works.
Sure, let's see if that comes through. We'll hold...
Is this work better?
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead,
And
Councillor.
Councillor Rice, maybe
Can
just turn off your other mic.
There we go.
Oh, there's so many technical challenges today. So original motion is to bring the motion to age greater than 14 and to align with employee standards code for 18.
Okay, so to administration, I just want to get an understanding of how you would interpret this motion. So maybe I'll frame this by saying, I am really supportive of providing opportunities for high school students, and it seems sort of like the 15 and up, or even the 16 and 17-year-old category that's outlined in the employment standards made sense to me. But just wondering from administration's perspective, how you interpret this motion in terms of the subsequent work that you would bring forward.
Councillor Stevenson, I would suggest if this motion passes, what we would do is simply have the policy state rather than a specific age limit. It would just say as permitted in the Employment Standards Code. So as that adjusts over time provincially, council would be permitted to hire. I would note though, as you can see in the report, practically speaking, that would likely mean you are limited to age 16 and 17 because age 15, they can't work during school hours. So those opportunities become rather limited for them.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And just to clarify too, school hours wouldn't include like the summer hours would not be school hours. Is that correct?
You're correct, yes.
Okay. Okay, well that's great. I think that language that it would just be in line with the employment standards makes a lot of sense. I think that we would all do our due diligence as employers to ensure that we were complying with any hiring for folks under 18. But I guess I'm speaking to it now, Mr. Chair, if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead. If you feel, do you have? Well, actually, wait then, because there's maybe an amendment. So I'd like to not have you speak to something that's not fully amended yet. So.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I'll yield my time.
Thank you. I'll go to Councillor Rutherford.
Yeah, I think the way that this motion is worded is a little bit too broad when it's like aligned with employee standards. There's nothing in here that mentions specifically about youth and youth employment within this motion, so I'd like to propose an amendment. And based on the report, I'd like to propose an amendment that administration return to City Council with an amendment to policy C whatever. I'm just trying to think about where I put it. To change eligibility for 16 and 17-year-olds for employment. I specifically, I'll wait till I can.
Sure, yeah, first we'll make sure that I'm.
So my amendment is to add after change eligibility for 16 and 17-year-olds.
Okay, thank you. We'll that wording is clear. We'll make sure it's put on the board right away here.
Just give us one moment.
That's fine. I should check. Well, I'll wait till I get the wording on the board before I ask if it's friendly or not. Do you want to introduce it while we wait for the wording, if you're comfortable, and then
I wouldn't consider it friendly myself.
Okay.
So
perfect.
just for fairness.
No problem at all.
I wouldn't consider that friendly.
Okay.
But yeah. So again, my rationale is just employment code's a very large document. So that, as it's written, seemed like a very huge undertaking in terms of asking administration to align our policy. And I would be confident that our policy is already in line with those employment standard codes because they trump any policy that we make at a municipal level anyway. However, in reading the report, I don't want to limit other offices from being able to give youth those opportunity, but I do still see that the under 16 there's more concerns, there's more things that need to be considered, and so for me, I think this is striking a fair balance between giving youth that opportunity and giving offices the opportunity to hire youth for those experiential learning, while also still recognizing, as I mentioned in the last Council Services Committee meeting, that youth are a vulnerable sector. And I do think that there's other considerations. I think, even when Councillor Knack put out on social media recently about some of this concerning, constituent calls or contacts that we have, and I know my office gets those too, that is nothing that I would want to put, for me personally, I wouldn't want to put a youth in that position. I also think about working alone. And when I worked, I actually led the Strathcona County Youth Council for years. And I had to have a criminal record check and a vulnerable sectors check to work with those youth because of the potential of working alone with them. And that isn't something that I take lightly, even in this context. And it's not just protecting the youth, it's protecting us, because if we're working alone with the youth, then there can be other concerns there. So while I personally will not hire 16 or 17-year-olds in my office, given some of the considerations of the type of risks and the work that we have, I don't want to limit that to others, but I do think that under 16, I would still contend that there's too many vulnerabilities to open that up. It's not like working as a clerk or a bakery at a grocery store. It's a very different type of job, and I think that we can still have volunteers working for our offices. That's different from actually having them employed. So that's my rationale for the amendment.
Thank you very much. So we're going to do just questions on the amendment right now. So just questions on the amendment. So essentially we start fresh, and Councillor Rice was first on the board for questions on the amendments. Councillor Rice, do you have questions on the amendments? Do you want to use the other mic just to be safe, just in case? There we go. Oh, I see a light. There we go. Okay, go ahead. Councillor Rice, you'll have questions on the amendment first.
Yes, I do have this question for the amendment, and then I didn't see on the screen for the amendment.
We don't have the amendment yet.
We're just typing.
Okay. To the mover, and then, so what's the difference, and what's the difference, and from liability perspective, and between 14 and 16 and 17 when you hire them or you ask them to do volunteer work? And then it's my understanding, and then even though we hire summer students in the office, and then we take our own responsibilities as a supervision responsibility, and also we, I didn't see that as a significant difference between the volunteer work and then you actually hire them work in the office. So can you explain a little bit more?
I'm not sure I understand your question. So is your question about the difference between 14 and 17-year-olds, or is your question the difference between volunteering versus hiring?
Thank you for asking. I think there are two questions here there. And because what I heard is comfortable to hire the youth for the volunteer work in the counselor's office, but not comfortable for the same age hire for the summer students. So I just want to understand better what's the difference. And when you ask them to do volunteer work, you still have that responsibility piece there. And then when you hire as a student, you still have responsibility piece there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the difference right now is that our policy doesn't cover volunteers the same way that it covers hired staff, from my understanding. I turn to administration to clarify that, and I think that there's a lot more control. So for example, if I was to have a youth volunteer for me, it would be likely at a high visible public event. It would not be, doing data in my office late at night, as an example. So there's just different considerations, but my understanding, and I'll refer to administration, that there's the policy is for hiring and the policy is not for volunteers.
You're correct. The policy excludes volunteers, and the Employment Standards Code also doesn't apply to volunteers. But I want to make sure that there's a base understanding here. When we're talking about your health and safety and your occupational health and safety obligations, those apply whether they are a volunteer, they are a summer student, or they are an employee. That standard applies to regardless of age and regardless of status. Where the question arises is your policy, like the Employment Standards Code, creates distinctions on employment for certain age categories. You can only employ youth under age 18 in certain categories, and that's what we've provided in the report. Volunteers are not under the Employment Standards Code, so you have to commit to the same safety obligations, but they are not employees under the code, which is why we don't mirror them in the policy. So I hope that clarifies those three categories.
Okay, that is my question. Another question is, and if you have a provincial employee standards code already regulated and approved and public, and then what's the risk? I think what's the risk we try to talking about here, and then is that a risk is not already considered when this employee standards code approved and for the age to be worked? And because we have so many different types of work, we have so many different youths and work in the workplace. And it's my understanding for some some type of work, and from that OHA's perspective, and even I see the big risk, sorry, doesn't work everything today. Big risk, and then work in the counselor's office. And how we can.
Is that a question to the mover? Sorry.
Yeah, how we can, if we could implement employee standards code on the so many different type of employment, why we cannot implement employment standard code even in counselor's office? That is, I would consider we meet all the standards from OHA's perspective.
So I think that we're missing a piece here, and that piece is what Alberta legislation speaks to in different legislative pieces around youth and considerations in their vulnerability. And so that's the perspective I'm coming from. For me, again, I would not be supportive of this, but I also don't want to limit other offices too. So like that's where I was trying to find the balance of like, what would I be comfortable approving today, knowing, like, again, I worked for the Office of the Child and Youth Advocate. I've worked with youth. There are other vulnerabilities there that need to be considered. So otherwise the amendment should be amended to include those other acts as well and the considerations there, like Youth Council has.
Thank you. My time is out.
That is correct. Yeah, Councillor Tang, do you have questions or speaking?
Oh, no, just a question, Ms. Johnson. You mentioned the consideration for those 14 and under half schools, and it might not even be available to work, but wouldn't that apply to 16 and 17-year-olds too? And so are we talking about more like summer employment, that kind of stuff?
So purely speaking from the Employment Standards Code, after age 15 is the age at which you are required to attend school in Alberta. So after age 16 and 17, that's where that shift changes. That's why this separated out differently report. Council made a policy decision through its policy to say 18 was the appropriate age.
Interesting. Okay, so it would be experiential work experience and educational opportunities. My other question was, the intention earlier was that there's a connection to the Youth Advisory Council. How would that work?
I'm not aware of that connection.
All right, I thought I heard it in the opening.
We didn't provide an opening. There's been questions
Sorry,
raised
now
about
you're
it.
opening the mover's opening.
Yeah, but this is I'm the mover.
Oh, sorry, okay. So
Yeah,
this will be
since
the
we're
other
just on the
question then, never mind.
amendments, Yeah. Thank you. Councillor Hamilton, questions on the amendment?
Yeah, this is maybe a question for our advisors from administration. If you have if you have an employee or volunteer under the age of 18, full stop, there, Councillor Rutherford did bring up the concern about a vulnerable sector records check or a safe security check. That is something that the city, for instance, has a policy on when you have a workplace where you have youth, correct?
I'm going to ask one of our representatives from Employee Services to just confirm that for you.
Hi, Councillor. Yes, I can confirm that. There's myriad of conditions of employment that are set for every occupation based on the risks of the particular role.
So I'm wondering if your best advice would be that if council now would have youth because this is a really tricky conversation. So if you don't want to answer this question today, that's okay. But if you have a workplace where youth are now allowed, would your best advice be that every employee and counselor then also have a safe, vulnerable sector records check on the record?
I would answer the question this way. It's always about the nexus of the work that's being completed to, what, vulnerability may be associated with that. So I wouldn't say blanket statement that. But that's my response.
Okay, that's fair. And I see, for instance, that any employee under the age of 18 must work under the supervision of an adult. So either they're working with another adult who works in the office, or they're working with the counselor directly. But council offices, as you know, the hallway isn't closed off. So it's not that you work in an office and then you don't see or have contact with anyone else. You have there is the, I guess, you have a larger workplace that you can't be closed off from. And so would that, in most workplaces at the city, if that is the circumstance, then everyone who works in that area would sort of have to abide by the same rules.
I would respond, not necessarily. Again, it really comes back to the work and the role that the individual is doing and the exposures and interactions that they would be having. So I'm not comfortable stating that that would be the rule that would apply to all.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair. But there's also, if I as a city employee refuse to have my vulnerable sector records check, that's a condition of employment, right? If I as a city councillor refuse that, there is no consequence, correct? And maybe I'll go to the clerk. It's not fair to put you that city administration can't force council to do anything as it relates to terms of our employment, so to speak. That is determined through the MGA.
So just for clarity, you're not employed by the city of Edmonton?
Yeah, we're not employees. We're appointed by the Minister of Municipal Affairs. All right. I guess last question for you is, this is a little bit tricky because I think it relates to the risk assessments, but there's some concern about physical safety, but psychological safety is of huge import in the city organization. And I'm wondering how, through even virtual digital means, I mean, does the city employ people under the age of 18 in other contexts in the city, and how do you ensure the psychological safety of those employees?
So, Councillor, we do employ under 18 in other areas. The Green Shack is a great example of that. And that's why in the report it's so important that every job be looked at from an individual basis and assessed for that hazard and appropriate controls. The controls in a Green Shack scenario are going to be different than the controls that would be in place in this scenario when you're working as a clerk, if you're looking at that 13, 14, or even above in the 15, 16, 17 range. And they would need to be monitored and adjusted appropriately. And that's really why we pointed out the idea of appropriate supervision on a day-to-day basis for an individual who may not have worked in this environment before, to be able to have access to someone who they can talk to and debrief certain situations.
That is perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Rice, do you have additional questions? Perfect. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. To administration, can you help me understand when we implement the employee standard code, and then I would like to follow the question Councillor Hamilton asked, is there any employee any employment praise, and for who have 14 years old and 15, 16, under 18 work, and other employees or supervisor needs to provide that vulnerable check-in, and that is a formal process, or is I just want to understand, and because this employment standard code implemented everywhere and across province, if that is our concern, that means we are set up ourselves as exceptional, and for this law already passed by provincial. So can you tell me how we implemented that? And is everybody and work with 14, like under 18, between 14 and 18, and they have other employees, other supervisors needs to check that?
So, Councillor, unfortunately, I don't have the exact data in terms of the ages of all of the individuals that we're employed, so I can't provide that at this time.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And then can you tell me how we, city administration, when we hired youth and under 18, how we implement certain things like that, and why city councilor's office needs to be so different? And I believe, and right now, and in our city administration, we have over 100 youth summer students working.
Yeah, so a couple things I would say on that. Summer student and student programs generally through the year are another group of category of employment. So it's tricky to try to draw analogies to them. I'd say I'd reiterate what my colleagues have said earlier. Every work site is going to be assessed for the hazards, for the controls, and for the requirements that are going to apply. So inherently in that, counselor staff are going to be different from every other workplace because the hazards here are different than there are in every other place across the city. So it's not, you're different, but you're not unique in that in that difference, because every work site is going to have that assessment done on an individual level.
So then how does our city right now implement this and for our summer students? And my motion intentionally and is for summer students is not regular employment during school time.
So just to address that question, I would say that the way that it would get implemented would be that assessment would be done. And it would be looked at, it would be determined what controls are necessary, what hazards are needed to be dealt with, and go forward from there. Your barrier right now to employing youth under age of 18 is your policy. So if the policy is amended, the work can be done to figure out proper classifications, proper safety requirements, and all of those pieces that are necessary. But right now you do have a barrier in your policy, which is what was on the floor to change initially to open that door.
Okay, thank you. I know, and I still have lots of questions, but for considering the time, I may touch base offline. But I do want to say, and if this employment standards code and allow and any employer, and even though counselors in this unique position, and to hire youth and then beyond 18, and then I cannot say we cannot apply the same principle we just discussed here: assessment, environmental assessment, proper supervision, everything like that, and to follow our employment standard code to give the opportunity to the youth. I just want to quickly say that. And then, so I'm not going to support this amendment, and I will keep the original one.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Stevenson?
Just to speak very briefly.
Go ahead. I think we started, that was, Councillor Rice just spoke a bit, so go ahead as well.
Yeah, I appreciate the conversation. I personally would have supported the original motion as it was written. I think it's great to open up opportunities for precocious youth. I'm sure many of us were those in our day. I think that the employee standards provides enough safeties. That said, I will support the amendment if that helps gain support to start to open up more opportunities for folks to have paid employment. I would just again emphasize that we can have volunteers that are younger than these ages right now, and I think it's incredibly important from an equity perspective that they can be compensated for their time even as youth, because again, only providing voluntary opportunities can serve to privilege certain members of our community. So thank you, look forward to seeing how the vote goes.
Thank you. Councillor Rutherford, do you have anything to close?
Again, just, you know, for me, my intent with this motion is to be a little bit more clear with the regular motion, and I would caution my colleagues on going all the way down to 14. If this does pass, or if the primary one does pass, I would probably also want to do a subsequent on expanding, which is a lot more work for administration in terms of looking at other policies that we need to consider in the context of what I would consider pretty unique work within the city of Edmonton. So thank you for the consideration of this amendment.
Thank you. Please vote on the amendment.
We have all the votes.
Thank you. Please display the votes. And that is carried. So that now changes the wording of the motion as amended, and we will go back to the board to see if there are any additional questions on the now amended motion. And I'll make sure the speakers list is open. Just double checking. Oh, I do see Councillor Hamilton on the board for questions.
Not questions, speak.
Okay, let me just make sure. I'm going to double check if there's nobody else. This is your last chance for questions. I am not seeing anyone else on the board, so we are now entering into speaking to the amended motion. Councillor Hamilton, you will start.
I'm trying to keep an open mind on this because, well, I wouldn't hire. I would struggle to hire even somebody who is fresh out of high school, someone who's 18, and not because they're not hardworking or not because they wouldn't be great, but because over almost 10 years in politics, I found that the work is fairly unique. And the psychological aspect of it, I think, can be pretty hard on people. And I've seen it be pretty hard on people who are veterans, who have way more experience than me. And it can, I don't know that I would feel comfortable subjecting an employee who I know that, and I think all of us have very busy competitive schedules, and you can't always be the direct supervisor that I think is required when you have somebody who's inexperienced in life and a workplace under your employment and is your responsibility. But I try to keep an open mind. I still have a really uneasy feeling in my stomach about this, and I think it originates from. We're talking, I think the intention of the counselor who brought it forward is good. It's about trying to give students an experience in their government. I think one of the, I consider other orders of government, for instance, the legislature has a PAGE program that permits high school students to work in the legislature, but it's a structured program, and I think that this is something that council wishes to embrace, I think it would be better managed not under our general employment policy in council offices, but actually through a specific summer student program that would allow students to have a different experience, to have, I'm going to say a formalized experience to learn about their government. I also don't know that you necessarily learn about your municipal government in the best way through working in a council office, because likely most of our work is constituency relations. So I think there's so much more to municipal government. I think it's wonderful, obviously, that's why I'm here. But I'm still really uneasy about this in council offices for a number of reasons. So respectfully, I can't support it, but I think that perhaps if council remains interested in this opportunity, I think having a formalized summer student program is a better, more appropriate, proactive way to go on this, and this could include having a council sponsor that you would work with, and then it takes the onus off of individual councillors to maintain, I'm going to say employability through the course of the summer, which is also our quietest time in terms of the work around City Hall. So I'm afraid that I can't support this. Thank you.
Thank you. So Councillor Rice will be to close, so I'll go to Councillor Rutherford.
Yeah, I think Councillor Hamilton really brings up a very intriguing idea of a formalized summer student program. I think that would be awesome and something that I would like to kind of, I'm curious to see what that could look like. And it's actually convinced me through your points that I also cannot support this motion as it stands on the floor. I too am not comfortable with it. So while I don't want to limit other offices, I do think that as council services, having some sort of formalized program that they can get opportunities also in different offices and different perspectives and different areas of the city would be much more, I think, a program that I could really embrace. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No one else is on the board, so I'm going to go to Councillor Rice to close. Go ahead, Councillor Rice.
This one. Thank you for this conversation, and also thank you for administration provide very detailed reports. And then my colleagues bring a different perspective, and specifically for our experienced councillors, based on their experience, and bring this your thoughts and then different points. I know, and then also I heard we have and so many youth and eager to understand our government and eager to get into opportunity and to engage with our communities more. And then even through the volunteer work, I believe many of my colleagues already saw that and experienced that. And so right now we're talking about how this opportunity could provide and to the youth actually and prepare and ready and get into the workplace and specifically for summertime. And then to have that opportunity for them to look at how the government, municipal government works, and how they can engage more with our communities, and how they can look at their future career development opportunity as well by learning. And then, so I cannot say limitation, and we put here can help us to support our youth to achieve that outcomes. And this is specifically if this employee standard codes already implement everywhere and with all OHS criteria and in place, and then is not we implement employee standard code in the councillor's office with certain already written in the bylaw, and then for all these assessments, and all we talk about mental health, we talk about environment, we talk about that safety piece, this is already reflected in our provincial regulation. And every employers who hire youth students all understand that. And as a counselor, we understand that very, very well as well. And then we demonstrate that leadership and by setting an example. So to me, and then I respect my colleagues to change the the age and not align with our employee standard code for age 14. So I respect that. But I do encourage our colleagues. Yes, from each perspective, we are 12 counselors. We have different understanding, different background, different experience, and we may see the work and we may see the opportunity for the youth differently, but do not limit other counselors to have these opportunities to provide to our youth. And by following employee standard codes, by following all the policies in the workplace. And I do encourage my colleagues to consider this and then to support this and give that career opportunity. Even I can share one of my students and really want to look at this opportunity and to plan his own career for the future and why we limited this. And so thank you very much, and thank you for for your thoughts, sharing your thoughts, and then please consider support this motion. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Please vote.
We have all the votes.
Thank you. Please display the vote. And that is defeated, 4-7. So we would still need a motion to receive for information, I think.
Nope.
Or no, that's
The
right.
decision's been made on the matter.
Okay. Perfect. There are no motions pending.
I give a subsequent.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Subsequent. Go ahead, please.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah, jump on in.
I think it's brought up a really interesting, so my subsequent, and this wording is just off, so we'll go with it. That administration provide a report to council services on the potential of a youth experience program.
So I'm not sure that's in the mandate of Council Services Committee, so
Okay.
can you explain, can you just forget the wording of the motion? Can you describe a little bit more what you're asking for, please?
Well, just I think what the piece about what Councillor Hamilton brought up around some sort of formalized program similar to what the government of Alberta has with the PAGE program that meets the needs of what Councillor Rice's intent was to give that experience to youth. I also think that, you know, there could be compensation within that program as well, talking to Councillor Stevenson's concern. So that's, but if it's not in the purview of this committee, then that's understandable too.
It could be a recommendation to council, or would it be better
Just
if we...
leave it with us and we'll figure out where best to bring that forward.
Because it would be a report. I'm asking for a report, not
Yeah,
not a
we'll just
decision
bring
on
it back here. Can we get more than 13 weeks? Because 13 weeks puts us right in the middle
You know
of
what?
November.
I'm actually just going to withdraw it for now, and then maybe we can talk about
offline.
it. Yeah.
Sounds great.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Were there any other subsequents? Sorry, I should have checked that that item. I don't think there were any more. So finally, motions pending. There were none. Notices of motion. I actually do have one, and I'll send that over immediately after sharing it here. That the administration return to executive committee with a report outlining, or I guess the motion will be that I will make this at, I think I can make this one at executive committee actually, because it'll be related to an outstanding tax balance. So, so the administration return to executive committee with a report outlining options available to council for supporting the Aga Khan Foundation account 9967260 with their current outstanding tax balance along with related background. So I'll send that over right now. And anyone else?
May I?
You have a notice of motion?
No, I just have quick questions to your clarification because I was under a technical challenge for the first few items and I'm not fully captured up. And did we pass 7.2?
Yes, yeah, that is the items.
So that furniture request
that is complete now, yes.
Is already passed
Correct.
For that request?
Yeah, that is completed.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see anyone else on the board for notices of motion, so we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.